assume someone else is going to do it for us. It simply won't happen that way. We must do the heavy lifting. But let's get started with the work of making it possible for more and more Americans to be honest about their marijuana smoking and to help us end prohibition. And finally, I want to share with you a couple more of the ads we ran in our campaign in New York. These you see, the public ads, are actually going to start running on, I think it's April 24th, and they'll run for a month. The small one runs on the back of the bus. This runs on a telephone kiosk. That one runs on a single telephone kiosk. Those are going to be all over Midtown Manhattan for a month. Now, with a little luck, this slide's going to work, and I'm going to show you, if you didn't see it, the full-page ad we ran to launch this campaign in the New York Times on April 9th. And again, we had to submit this for approval to the New York Times, and even though it's $105,000, we still have to get approval. And frankly, we did not expect to get it. We assumed that somebody was going to knock us off and we'd have to go to the Village Voice or whatever. Not a question was asked, folks. I assume that we're reaching a new day. I don't know, so let me see if I can make this work. And I don't know for sure if you can read that. I'm sorry. Can we turn the house lights down a little? Probably another switch. Well, it simply may be that we're going to have to put this up later sometime, read it better. But the point we made fairly clearly in the copy was that we have a serious underlying issue. We didn't want people to think we were simply playing gotcha with the mayor, because the mayor deserves our credit. I want all public officials to be honest. To say that you smoke pot means very little for an elected official. To say you smoked it and enjoyed it, that's what brought us into new territory. The fact that we can actually concede the obvious, which is that most people who smoke marijuana smoke it because they enjoy it. It's fun. And that's what the mayor said. So that was the ad we ran in the New York Times. Now, let's see. Now, if I could, if someone on the sound system could start the CD player. We got two 60-second spots that are currently running on major stations in New York City. I'll let you see what you think. They're both good, I think, but the second one is particularly humorous and New Yorkie.
Yes. Governor Pataki? Yes. Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas? Yes. Lieutenant
A lot
Governor...
of people in public office have smoked marijuana. It's not surprising. More than a third of adult Americans have tried pot. What was surprising and refreshing was our mayor's honest answer when asked if he had ever smoked pot. He said, "You bet I did, and I enjoyed it." And we applaud his honesty. But even though it's normal to smoke pot, in New York City we arrest more than 50,000 people a year just for smoking pot. A lot of them spend time in jail. We don't arrest responsible drinkers. After September 11th, with decreased police manpower, shouldn't we get our priorities straight? If you think it's wrong to arrest people for doing something normal, log on to norml.org. That's norml.org. This message was paid for by NORML, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws Foundation.
Can you restart that? I'm sorry. This is our end.
Hello. I'm of an age where I figure I don't bother you, you don't bother me. It's a good life. So every now and then I have a glass of wine, and every now and then I smoke some marijuana. It relaxes me, and I can get arrested for that. I've read where in New York City they arrest 50,000 people a year for smoking pot. Some go to jail. I mean, that is crazy. Muggings, yes. Murder, yes. But pot? Please. More than a third of adults in this country say they smoke pot. The mayor has smoked it. He said he enjoyed it. It's fun. Now, kids shouldn't smoke anything, and if you don't smoke pot, fine. But let's not arrest people for doing something normal. Next thing, they'll make chopped liver illegal.
If you think it's wrong, for the Reform of Marijuana Laws Foundation.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to resume my role as chair of this panel and introduce the next panelist. I'm going to ask John Gilmore to go second, if that's all right, John. Most of you probably know John by now. He's a young, high-tech millionaire who has been very generous to this issue. He made a commitment 2-3 years ago, I think, that he was willing to put up $1 million a year for 10 years to try to end marijuana prohibition. Thanks, everybody.
Well, I'm here to talk about the importance of coming out, and Keith has already said most of what I need to say, but I'll say it again. If every person who smoked marijuana got out one day and just started admitting it, the world would change. There aren't enough prisons. There's only enough prisons to hold 2 million people, not 70 million people. Right? There's lots of things that could be done to individuals individually, but if we all got out and admitted it, then the world would change. Now, that can't happen overnight, but it's important to start it happening. I've been thinking for a long time about what I would say here, and I ended up getting an inspiration from a court case that happened just a week ago. The Colorado Supreme Court came out with an opinion in a case involving a bookstore where some people had bought a book that talked about how to make synthetic chemicals that are illegal. And the police found a trailer full of equipment for making illegal chemicals, and they found this book, and they wanted to know who had ordered that book. So they went back to the bookstore and tried to subpoena them to say, we want your records of who bought that book. And the bookstore, which was the tattered cover, great bookstore, right, resisted and never complied with the search warrant. Brought their lawyers in and appealed the thing all the way to the Colorado Supreme Court. And just a week ago, the Supreme Court of Colorado decided that people have the right to buy and read books anonymously, and that even though the state has a valid interest in enforcing the laws, that on balance, society would be worse off.
I never saw your face, I never knew your name, I never touched the kingdom from which you came. I never had a chance to see the other side, born as enemies to fight until we died. But now it's suicide, oh yes, it's suicide. Foolish, foolish pride, it's really suicide. Born into a game that never made much sense, creating war machines, no thought of consequence. Surely someone's kidding, this must be a joke. Any second now, we could be up in smoke, we could be up in smoke. What a dirty joke, there can be no hope, burning up in smoke. Do you brainwash children, persecute the Jews? Will Afghanistan be your Waterloo? We had our Vietnam and we paid the price. Now is it die in hell or build a paradise? Building paradise could be very nice. Melting Cold War ice could be paradise. Is it impossible for us to get along? Free for annihilation to ping pong. As the Cold War final locks into checkmate, hear the New Age anthem. Cooperate, participate, appreciate, communicate, and keep it straight. Participate, appreciate, and celebrate, and celebrate.